have to give permission if I want. If you want to show something. There you go. There you
go. Oh yeah.
There's my brother.
What it look like. What are you gonna do?
Hey. So what's up, brother Ulbrich?
So it's Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
I had a good tasting at this cellar today. Looking at some of the new wines. 25's looking pretty exciting.
Okay. What did you taste in particular that you thought was stellar?
We are going through the sparkling wine base. We're about to start bottling some of the Tirage wines. So there's a lot of high acid white wines, and then I've got a cool Pinot Blanc project in the works that we were tasting through as well. So those two, pretty excited about.
Cool. Well, let's get into this. I was trying to find a way to preface this, and I've always told Brian, I have like a top 5 of Michigan winemakers.
And, he has always told me that. That's not a lie.
And I'm blessed now. I got Jim Lester finally. I had interviewed Charlie Edson back in 2020, and I've had him on tape. And you're tonight, and then next month is going to be Sean O'Keefe.
All right.
So that you guys are my top 4. There's a battle for number 5 right now.
Oh,
and I'm not going to get into it, but there's a battle for number 5.
Come on, Chuck, just get into it. Let's hear it.
There's a battle for number 5. No, Andrew Backlund is. I'm sorry, he's doing some stuff.
Yeah, I like what he's doing.
And after tasting some of Dave Boss's stuff.
All right.
Yep. And then my other guy, Brian Hosmer, because he's just been on so many of my projects. So, there, like I said, there's a battle. But there is no battle for my top 4, because my top 4.
So what's going to be the standout? What's going to make you decide who is number 5? What's going to happen there? Is it going to be what? What are the parameters of this decision?
The parameters are basically longevity, the product, it's like the Supreme Court justice said about pornography. I know it when I see it.
Definitely fit Brian Hosmer.
And there you have it, folks. This is the new episode of Two Guys Tasting. Welcome. We're welcoming Bryan Ulbrich. Chuck Jackson's telling us how he determines who the top 5 Michigan winemakers are. We'll ask him again next week.
My top 5.
From the highest court in the land. I like it.
Hey, but no, everybody makes great wine, and I want that top 5 because I'm still trying to get Andre Houston Mack back into the state of Michigan, because I want him to taste at my top 5 spots and still see if he's going to say we don't make good wine here.
I think the challenge has been thrown down.
Yep. And I'm hoping I hope this makes my little AI edit so I can post it. And I'll tag Andre.
You should post it. And I think I have a path to victory here.
What is that, Brian?
So I decided yesterday, after I met with Bob Jacobson for 3 hours, that now that I'm termed out of Taste Michigan, I think I'm going to go for a craft beverage council seat. The next step of marketing Michigan craft beverages is to, they've got this Michigan crafted brand. And I had an interesting conversation with Scott Graham 2 weeks ago. Scott Graham is the executive director of the Michigan Brewers Guild. Brewers Guild is, as far as Michigan is concerned, the banner organization for craft beverages, in my opinion, because they're able to have a couple festivals and generate some revenue and do some cool shit. But because of the change in consumer behavior that we're all experiencing, he came up to me and he said, I can't believe I'm saying this to you. I hate every word that's coming out of my mouth right now, but I think we need to consolidate and join all of our sectors together and have just one organization that can throw these festivals.
We need your story of how you got into wine. I know most of it, but I want the rest of the world to understand where you started and how you got to where you are today with Left Foot Charley, and you're literally helping other wineries make their brands. Give us the rundown.
All right. So you have to go back to last century. I found myself needing a job, and I started working at answered a wine ad. And the greatest thing about this job interview was they took me out for breakfast. I couldn't believe it. It was with a small winery in Arizona. And here I'm eating this full breakfast. I'm like, why would I never? I hope I get this job. This is amazing. And I did. And I was working in the tasting room and slowly got convinced to work in the back. And kind of had this realization. I was cleaning wine tanks one day and looked at my paycheck and thought, hey, I'm getting paid to do this. This is legit. I could actually pursue it. And that was at Webb Winery. It was the first winery in Arizona. And there was a few others starting up at that time. And basically just started thinking about this world of wine, where I wanted to go. And one of the things about Arizona I realized quickly also is that I'm a Midwestern kid, and I'm not used to the desert climate and all the things that point and steal or sting and poke you, and venomous animals and stuff. And I need to get to a little gentler environment. And I had Rieslings quite a bit and realized what great work was going on up here. And I thought, I want to get back to the where water is, and where wines like Riesling are grown. And so moved up here with my then girlfriend at the time, in 94, 95. And we're now married, and got my first job at a winery, working again in the tasting room, asking to work in the back, and then finally became an apprentice at Peninsula Cellars when they were just starting out. And that was kind of my first full bore dive into the wine industry. I was working in the vineyard and sales in the winery, and since got married to my girlfriend. And then we, after about 10 years of working Peninsula Cellars and kind of both helping and learning from them, we expanded to a point where they realized they were becoming a self-sufficient farm and wanted to have everything estate grown, which made complete sense for a historical cherry farm growing grapes. And I had an opportunity. My contract was up to kind of redefine things for myself, and collected a few of the growers that were going to be looking for a home for fruit. So it was about 4 of us, and started Left Foot Charley with this concept that we knew we would never be an estate winery. But I knew how to make wine, and I knew how to bring people together in the sense of maybe we could do something interesting off the estate. And so we found a home in town in Traverse City in the old asylum, and began sort of a cooperative venture in the sense of we don't have a singular estate, but we bring these farms together that are focused on farming. I focus on winemaking, and then my team focuses on marketing and getting those wines out to people. And that's what we've been after for the last 22 years. And it's working out in ways I never expected, and in ways I hope to change and improve. And then also the ones that I'm like humbled by, like how amazing it is to have so many people around that care about what we do as an industry on so many levels that make wine possible. Because great wine, of course, starts in the vineyard, but it finishes with people.
Hey,
one of our pillars right there, Chuck.
Definitely.
And one of our pillars is community, and the community that's built around food and beverage in general, but specifically focused with wine. We'll have guests on from different sectors, of course. We've had a chef on last week that makes ready to drink cocktails from Lessa Norma. But you just nailed it right on the head, man. This is a show that what we're trying to do to bring people back together. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I admired you from afar in terms of the podcast side of things, but
we're faking it till we make it.
Hey. Now we're starting here in Michigan with the community, but just in what we've been able to do on the Instagram platform, we have so many different countries represented in our very small but I think explosive following, which is because in fact Chateau Ferrand is following us, Chateau de Ferrand is following us. So what is that? Champagne Mousse, which was Mousse Fields, but now just Champagne Mousse. So again, we're trying to make this as global as possible, but our first foray is really to showcase Michigan wine, Michigan winemakers, and what's coming from this great state as far as the best wine that we can make. And we make some amazing wines. Tell us, I still think your flagship, and I think you even mentioned it as your flagship, is Pinot Blanc. Can you tell our audience some basic information about the Pinot Blanc grape, but how it represents Michigan terroir in your products?
So I got very lucky when I was a younger man. A grape grower approached me who already had Pinot Blanc in the ground that was planted in 1995 and was looking for a different type of relationship from the winemaking side. They were focusing on growing, and it was Pinot Blanc. It was 1 acre, and I was able to take it on. And there was a lot of interesting issues in the vineyard that we right away started to try to correct. Some of the philosophy at that time was to copy what was going on the West Coast in terms of vine structure, which they can have the luxury of growing taller plants and a different, physical structure. Here we need to have, we need to think about our winters and how cold things can get. And so our vine structure is different than you would see in California or many parts of the world. So we grow very low trunks because we want to take advantage of the snow. And the snow will insulate us in times like we're experiencing right now. We know that we're protected from the base parts of the vine by having smaller plants. So those first several years we worked on kind of restructuring the plants, but in the meantime we still had fruit. So I was able to taste these wines that were coming, or the grapes that were coming out. And it became clear that what we were growing as Pinot Blanc in that 1 acre vineyard had its own dynamic signature. Pinot Blanc in a lot of the world is a blending grape. It's a little bit bland, or perceived that way. And a lot of time, even in Alsace, it's not considered a noble variety. It's the catch-all for everything else. The Auxerrois and Riesling and Pinot Gris, you can blend into it and call it Pinot Blanc. But it is its own grape. It's one of the Pinot sisters. And here in Michigan, it has, at this point, it was only 1 acre, so it was hard to say here in Michigan at that time. But what we've learned since it's become very much prominently planted for most wineries is that we have a signature here. There's an aromatic and acidic profile that comes out of Michigan that Pinot Blanc loves. It loves our loose soils. It likes the moderately cool climate. the amount of ripening degree days we have is perfect. So we can have wines with structure and acidity and texture and aromas that are distinct, and they tell a story that isn't told elsewhere. So we're not trying to mimic, we can't mimic other places for what Pinot Blanc does. And that's the point of any region, is to have something to say in this whole big culture and conversation of wine. And Pinot Blanc does that so naturally that I don't feel like we even make the wine. We're midwives, we carry it forward, and our goal is to not drop the baby, basically. Because if you pay the basic viticultural sense and you grow healthy, strong plants with, smart, basic farming, Michigan provides Pinot Blanc a way to express itself that nowhere else does. And that's what excites me about that grape. What I love is that we're not isolated. We're not the only great Pinot Blanc in this area. There's several. And now to see wineries have this grape kind of proves the point that this grape likes it here. And we welcome that. So we've got a new Pinot Blanc project coming out shortly. I'm very excited about, hopefully not hopefully, it will come out in April. And essentially it's going to be a combination of our best Old Mission vineyard sites that we're going to be able to get out to the market at a price that makes sense and can get people, take that excuse away about the expensive things and get it there so that they can try it and learn the excitement that this grape has for us. So
that's cool. What is it? The Michigan grapes that I think we do well. I mean, the grapes that we do well in Michigan: Pinot Blanc, Gewurz, Riesling, Cab Franc, Blaufränkisch, and I think we're actually doing some Pinot Noirs really well, depending upon where you go.
Chardonnays as well.
Okay. Look at us. We have a litany of them.
Yeah. That's another amazing point, isn't it, Brian? That we can grow so many vinifera.
Well, and I think the beauty of wine, wherever you are, is that if it's expressing something that's different and true to itself, that's what wine lovers like, right? We go to Bordeaux to taste Bordeaux. We go to the Finger Lakes to take Finger Lakes. You go to, Loire Valley or wherever it is, name your region, and it should have something to offer that's not a recipe. And Michigan certainly has that. We have something that nowhere else in the world has. And that's the beauty of wine. And we're lucky to be able to grow it. I mean, honestly, it's just a sliver of land along the Lake Michigan shore that really do it before we get into a different climate. So let's accent what we have. And, I'm fortunate I inherited in the sense of coming into this region that had already been experimenting with it and starting the process of figuring out what would work and what doesn't. In the mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of investment coming into planting grapes. So got to be involved in helping to figure out different grape varieties to plant. And now we're a couple decades in and seeing the results of that. And fortunately, a lot of those are working. So we have something to add to the conversation.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some nerdy questions now. Can you age Pinot Blanc?
Yes. Sorry, that was quick.
Yeah. Talk to us about that. What do you find in an aged Pinot Blanc? What character? What notes? And when is the prime period?
So prime is difficult to call out. We have had recently, I've opened wines from 2012, 2010 that are really intense and interesting. It's similar to any aged white wine, whether that's Burgundy or Riesling, in the sense that as they age, they develop this, patina depth that I love. Some people may not like it as much. They might want the bright apricot, fresh fruit brightness of something. And as it's getting older, you get more into that deeper depth of color, flavor, texture, length, waxiness that comes out. And in Pinot Blanc in particular, I would say if I was going to peg a window, I would say 3 to 5 years is pretty fast. Right now, our 2017 is really glowing. And it's difficult to ask customers to save something for 5 to 10 years, because we all want to drink it. So we're trying to do that for them and be able to have wines that we can pull out of the cellar and say, hey, check this out. This is that same vineyard, 6 years later. Because it's far easier for the wine to do the education than me to try to describe it. But I think where Pinot Blanc goes would be similar to Chardonnay in the sense the depth and length and complexity that develops through time.
Okay, you heard it here first, Chuck.
Hey,
3 to 5 years should be hitting that.
So at least with Pinot Blanc, are we barrel aging? And if we are barrel aging, is it French oak, American oak, Hungarian oak? Because that's the one thing I learned when I first started visiting the Traverse City area, that a number of winemakers were experimenting. Because I went to Old Chateau de Léognan, and they had a Pinot Gris where one was French oak, one was American oak, and one was Hungarian oak. And they literally had you taste it in a flight and tell them which barrel you preferred. And I remember back then they told me that Hungarian was winning at the time I was up there. And I did pick the Hungarian first, French second, American third. So
the first time I ever got to do that kind of tasting was at Chateau Chantal with Mark Johnson. And he had brought in some French oak barrels, and this would have been 96 probably. And at the time, a French oak barrel was $600, and it was absolutely extravagant to have a French oak barrel. And he invited all the winemakers in to taste a Chardonnay out of French oak and American oak. And I remember tasting that, and it was more the concept of I don't know, looking at other canvases like that really fascinated me. The flavors were really interesting, but I also remember the expense and thinking, wow, that's so expensive for a barrel. And a French oak barrel now is 1,200 easily, 1,300 if you're really going after it. And so that avenue of what barrels lend to wine has always fascinated me. However, with Pinot Blanc, I don't feel it works for what I do and where we're growing fruit. I'm not saying don't do it. Pinot Blanc has a delicacy to it that I think needs to be showcased. And the oak in that sense kind of overpowers and muddies the song a bit. It's kind of like putting a distortion pedal on something when you really don't need it. And not that I don't like distortion, but in this case, I like to keep it in steel or in ceramic. I feel like it allows the fruit to come forward, and that's really what we're trying to showcase here. It doesn't need the tannin and the depth. The skins actually have a bit of tannin to them, and it's one of the things when we're pressing it, we're very careful to not try to extract too much from the skins because it can become bitter pretty quickly. And what I found when we ferment in oak is it adds way too much overlay mascara and stuff on top of the wine. And so we do everything in steel. I do believe that long yeast aging is important. By that, I mean 4 to 5 months or so, and allowing the yeast to break down, kind of give the I don't know, the blanket or the carpet to the flavor to allow it to have something to stand on. That's important. It helps with length and mouthfeel because we do have pretty strong acidity up here. But the oak tannins and vanillins and flavors, I feel, get in the way. So I'm more of a steel person.
So are you initiating ML then for your are you doing Surly with that product?
We are, but we're not initiating it on purpose. It will happen in certain vintages. Depending, mostly we find if it's a warm harvest, we'll see spontaneous MLs happen with the primary fermentation. Once we get into like November, one of the great joys of being in Michigan is it gets cold, and so it's easy to keep the cellar cold and keep other fermentations at bay a bit. But yeah, we're not adding MO unless it was a really lean year. We may do that. If it was something like 2009 or 2019, maybe. But now we're kind of letting them run their course, and then we don't do a lot of acid adjustment if it's a real acidic year and the fruit's clean. We'll go longer lees and a lot more stirring. And then if there's ML that happens, it happens.
Mm-hmm. So stirring in batonnage is what you're saying. Is that right?
Format, yeah. So mixer or mixed silent. It's and then the other thing we have oval tanks, steel oval tanks, and that the way the yeast lie in there and rotate and kind of they don't settle very well. We can cool one side of the tank and get kind of a natural convection that just keeps the tank moving in a almost basis. I think helps a lot too.
Yeah, I visited a winery in Greece a couple years back that was using that same formula with their Pinot Gris that they were growing over there, and I liked the mouthfeel from that egg that they had. So I'm interested to see what you got.
Yeah. Are you planning on doing any? Because there's a lot of people doing concrete. You mentioned like some porcelain amphora.
We have two ceramic vessels, and actually this year I have our Island View Pinot Blanc in those, and I think that's a great vehicle vessel for Pinot Blanc. Good for lees contact. I really like those for two reasons. One, they're thick walled, so the temperature is moderated quite a bit and just held constant. And then the other thing I like is they don't interact with the wine. So if we use concrete, there's going to be some interaction between the lime and what makes concrete, which would interact with the acids, which I think is very valuable for a lot of respects. But for Pinot Blanc, I don't necessarily want to deacidify it because I think the acid is what really defines us. So I like the fact that these ceramic clay vessels will preserve that acidity and not have that influence. So I'm kind of on a isolationist Pinot Blanc mentality. Like I don't want to blend too much. I would blend Auxois into it. I think that's beautiful. I don't want to blend other things, and then I don't really want to deacidify or sweeten. I want to keep it what we get, basically.
Well, that's what you were doing, I guess, with the Cremona, Michigan, right? You were doing, I think, Pinot Blanc and Auxois.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and a little Chardonnay as needed for that as well. And that's that we pick slightly earlier. We had a specific vineyard we were growing for sparkling, so we're taking that fruit at lower bricks, again on a sparkling mentality, trying to go even more extreme on the acidity side of things.
Mm-hmm. So if anybody was looking for some Left Foot Charley, Brian, where should they go to find you?
They should go to their favorite wine shop and ask for it. A lot of places we are already at. We're a small company, and we are working on getting the wines more widely distributed. So we have on our website, we've got located zip code and find a spot near you where we have it. We try to keep it updated as much as possible. But we've been out working diligently throughout Michigan, focusing a lot on Detroit, the region, and also getting into Chicago. We just signed up in New York, and we've got a couple other states, Virginia and Maryland, DC as well. And one of our goals is to get these wines out there so that people can taste and start. I don't know. I'm not saying leading the charge in the sense of we're not the first and we're not the only, but to add another accent to what Michigan's doing and get people outside of our area tasting. I think right now the general concept of a wine drinker malaise is the easy, low-hanging fruit for journalists. But I think there's also way more experimentation and eagerness to try new things out there than there ever has been in my career. And I find that really exciting. And the opportunity to help those people find something new keeps me going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do see you're saying you're going in the New York market. I have friends on Long Island, and so I see your Pinot Blanc as a patio pounder during the summer, especially with their fresh seafood, their clams and their oysters, and a lot of people aren't really not familiar with the seafood off of Long Island, which is freaking amazing.
I would also say that go grab a good pastrami sandwich and it would work well too. Yeah, it's fun. It's going to be, I'm going out in a couple of weeks or I don't know, whatever, 8 weeks to go kind of read. We were in New York for a long time and then this little COVID thing happened and we kind of dropped out, but I'm excited to get back there. And again, when I was first time going out there, I was excited because, well, I wasn't excited. I was scared. I thought, why do they care about Michigan wine? They have every wine in the world there. You know, who cares about Michigan coming into New York City? But what I find is it's actually sometimes easier to sell in New York City than it is in my own backyard because they're looking for something different and new. And so in some ways I want to encourage the East Coast to taste our wines. And Sean O'Keefe has said this for a long time, that sometimes we need the East and West Coast to tell us something is cool before we believe it in the Midwest. And so let's get the wines out there. You know, we can talk all we want about how cool Michigan is, but until people taste it, so what? It's just conjecture. So we're doing our part to get out.
Yeah. Well, if you go to visit if you're planning on going to visit any wineries out on Long Island, I'll send you my contact because she's part of the land bank that basically finds land for all the wineries.
All right.
On Long Island.
Let's do that.
Because I'm waiting to retire fully so that we can do our little seafood and wine festival out there Montauk, Hampton Bays area.
I want to be there with you.
Hey. Your new production facility, how long has it been open?
We have 2 vintages under our belt. So 24 was our first vintage. We started in the old asylum and it's been great. When we opened, we've always been a custom crush facility, like a cooperative winemaking space. And that has served us very well and has been great for the clients we work with and the partners. But we got to the point where we call it the village, the asylum property, became successful enough in terms of the whole concept that there was a number of, in the old days, I could just leave my forklift in the street, you know, and now there's kids running around, there's dogs, there's buses, bikers, walker, you know, it's just normal life is going on. It got difficult to unload flatbed trucks and haul fruit around. And then our space, you know, it's confined. We can't add to it. It's a historical property. And so we got limited in our abilities to take on new production and new vineyards. So in 23, we agreed to build a new facility out on M72, just about 5 miles west of us. And that allowed us to take on some new custom clients and really kind of fulfill a bigger vision of being a wine producer. And so we're now, I think, 7 different partners that are coming in on all different scales and different needs in terms of wine making. And it allows, as a small winemaker, because we're still, as wine, we make about 6,000 cases. We have cider as well, which puts us up to about 10,000 cases maybe. So in the grand scheme, we're a very small winery, as are all of the people we work with. And one of the big inhibitors in this industry is the expense of production, equipment, personnel, everything that's involved in trying to get from grape to glass. So this allows us at least to kind of all cooperate and share in some of those fixed costs and make it more reasonable for everyone who's involved.
Collaboration, Chuck. That's another pillar.
Most definitely. You brought up your ciders, and I saw your last post about your production of Cinnamon Girl. All I can tell you is the first time I had that, I was just like, okay, what is he doing up there? He's just making stuff that I couldn't even imagine it until I tasted it, and I was just like, oh, because to me it was similar to when John Burka was doing Dancing Elephant, the cherry cider down at was down at the Grand River Brewery. It's that you think about it, and then you think about it again, and then you taste it and you go, wow, that was a great expression.
Apple, it's classic. We do make it the very slow way, so there's a smarter way to make it, a faster way to make it, and I'm not smart or fast. But you like what we make. This whole expansion to the new facility did put a crimp in our cider production because of the way the transition had to work, just physically moving tanks and setting up a new space. Cider got a little bit pinched on our production. So all day today I was working on a new used bottling line. I'm rebuilding, and we are real close to getting bottles of Cinnamon Girl back onto the market. I can't say when because I don't know. I'm waiting on another part, but I think it's going to work out pretty good. So by spring, I'm really hoping we have something back out. We have kegs out now, so at least back.
No, because I think it was back in the day. What is it at Pentamere in Tecumseh? Literally, it was a damsel was doing some apple wine. And that was back when I was doing my winery tours, and I'd take a charter bus, and I had literally made, it was one bus trip a month. So it was like 4 months. The first month I go there, he's like, oh, I'm waiting for this to come out. And it should be out. It should be ready any day now. I came back a month later. Oh, it's still not ready.
Apple's a lot like grapes, we think of them differently, but they're a vintage product. And this year, apples came late for us. They do take a while to ferment. And again, there's ways to do it differently, and they're not better or worse. They're just different. The way that we can produce and what we've always done takes us several months to get from apple to, a bottling state. But Michigan has long been an amazing and distinctive apple growing region. And, I would argue our apples are better than anybody else in the world. And all it would take is a couple different apple varieties for you to bite in to agree, because the proof's in the core.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows apple.
Let us introduce the story writer here, the notoriously late story writer.
Come on in, Ken
Williams.
I was late last weekend, so it's okay.
Ken Williams, meet Bryan Ulbrich of Left Foot Charley.
Hi, Ken. I think you're muted.
Can't hear you, bro.
Okay. Yes. How you doing, Brian?
Great. How are you doing, Ken?
Good. Yeah, I was coming from my son's basketball practices. His practice on Thursday from 7 to 8. So I didn't want to miss this one. I missed the last meeting, with the last person that we spoke to. So I didn't want to miss this one here. So yeah, I'm the screenwriter here slash film producer here for Two Guys Tasting. Pleasure to meet you. Um, so I'm the novice here when it comes to the world of wine and spirits. So I just suck in all of the knowledge that I get from Brian and Chuck here and all the guests that we've had here on the show. I take notes and then I text Brian and Chuck about, okay, where do I go to get this specific spirit or wine that's been mentioned in the meetings? Or if they come across something or they tell me something that I never heard of before, you know, I'll talk to them about it and they'll clown me a little bit for my novice knowledge of wine and spirits.
We don't clown you, man.
I know, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I do.
I don't know. The more I get into it, the less I know. I feel like it's just like I had wines. We were in Chicago last week at a place that focuses on Middle Eastern, largely Lebanese cuisine, and the wines all were from the countries over on that side. So we had wines from Iran that they're illegal to make wine there. So they were smuggling grapes out of Iran into Israel to make the wine. And these like Turkish varieties, like no vowels in the name of the wine. And it was just such a staggering learning thing. Like I didn't even think about this. It's like the oldest wine country in the world, really. That the crescent of wine civilization in a way, and just constant learning experience. So there is no novice.
I appreciate that.
We're all learning every day.
Yeah.
Why it's fascinating. It's like music,
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we go through this, ritual, Brian, and we start to ask each other because it's time to get to the bottom of that glass. See what you're enjoying this evening with us. Chuck's going to share. Ken's going to lie, act like he's got something, but he's really in the airport lobby probably. Are you at McDonald's right now connecting to the Wi-Fi?
No, I'm actually home.
He's coming back to so that's legit.
Yes. Legit Wi-Fi, Brian.
So, sir, Mr. Ulbrich, what do you have?
So I pulled out something weird. This is a 2010 Riesling. I don't know if that shows up. That we made for a small vineyard in Leelanau County that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But it was one of those instrumental ones early on in Left Foot's career where a good example, we had a guy, a husband and wife couple who had 2 acres of grapes, and they wanted to have that as part of their homestead experience and landscaping, if you will. And what they cared about working and having the vineyard going, and they wanted the results of it in the wine. And so they were an early partner. That was my first exposure to Kerner as well. So they had Kerner and Riesling. And as we were kind of prepping before this started, I saw this bottle, and I'm very fortunate that my wife loves wine, but she doesn't really like old Rieslings very much. So when I get to pull one, so I'll make her taste a little bit. But yeah, 2010 Riesling from Leelanau Peninsula. And tell you what, it's got another 5 years of life on it. So what is that, 15 years old?
That's beautiful. Any questions there, Ken?
It sounds good.
Well, come on up. I got a cellar of weird stuff like that we could open up. So
yeah, that sounds really good. And Brian, you were talking about your wife loves wine. Actually, it's my wife who introduced me to wine many, many moons ago because, like most guys, I just partaked in spirits. So I never drunk wine until I met her. And I always tell this story that when I met my wife, she was in a wine tasting group with Chuck called the Mahogany Tasters. So that was my introduction to wine. So I've been drinking wine ever since. And right now, I did grab something while we're at that segment. I don't know if you see this bottle. It's Kevin O'Leary.
We can see the shape.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary's wine. I think this came from my parents' house because my wife and my mother, they're in a book club, and whenever my mom hosts, she has this Kevin O'Leary wine. I think that she got from QVC or HSN. They sell those big wine things for like, get like, I don't know, 12 or 24 cases for, I don't know, $100. You can do the 4 or 5 easy pays. So she gave my wife an extra bottle that, we've been kind of sipping on for a while. So I just grabbed that. But yeah, I'm always open to different wines and different spirits to taste. And recently, I was talking to Brian about this. I think after our last meeting or the last interview we did, and I was asking both Chuck and Brian, is there like a coffee / like wine combo? Because we had interviewed a friend of Brian's who's in the coffee business, and I just and they'll let you know. I tell them, they know that I'll just pose like some crazy questions in our group chat, like, hey, is there this kind of combo for wine and X, or how would you pair wine? I'll think of some obscure food, even just to see if I can test their knowledge. Like, how would you pair wine with a thing of Snickers or a Twix bar or something kind of crazy? But somehow they come up with the craziest, like, oh yeah, here. Brian or Chuck will text me like, oh yeah, you can pair a Snickers bar with this wine, or you can pair caviar with this wine. So Brian had to put me on to a combo like wine and coffee. So.
So Chuck, what you got? What do you want to show us?
Well, I was sipping on, it's a red blend from California, but I wanted to showcase this. Is something that a friend of my wife's brought to the house. This is actually a Filipino double barrel rum.
Mm.
And I fell in love with Filipino rum from a brand called Don Papa. And so I was working with them for a half second. Then I think they sold to Diageo or somebody.
Oh, okay.
But my wife brought this home when I was supposed to make rum cakes because the person said it's amazing rum and it'll probably make a good rum cake. I took one sip out of this bottle and I said, no, this is not going in any rum cakes. This is going down on the bar. And it's just amazing. It's actually like a barrel, a 16-year-old barreled rum and a 5-year-old barreled rum blended together.
So you're the rum cake, huh?
That sounds really good.
Oh yeah, I put it this way. My rum cake is so good. There are people that go down to Jamaica and basically they tasted it down there and came back and said, "Make me a rum cake, Chuck," because I'm not doing that.
I mean,
I know, Chuck, make some rum cake.
Well, see, I'll do that for the small group, but I'm always getting begged because at one point I used to make rum cakes in little loaf pans. One year for Christmas, I had a box with about 40 loaves of rum cake that I had to make. And so I was up from like 1 a.m. until like 7 a.m. making these doggone rum cakes.
Oh my God.
And,
4 loaves of rum cake, that sounds kind of biblical.
Right.
They swear that they get a buzz from eating it, and I keep telling them I don't know how, because it's only a full cup of rum, and the you have a half a cup of rum in the batter and a half a cup in the glaze. The glaze is the only one that I don't heat to cook the rum off. So it only really has a half a cup of rum, and that's usually split up between 2 and 3 cakes. So I don't know how they getting high.
That's the love, man. It's the love.
It's not the cake, Chuck.
Yep.
Because they had another glass waiting on the side.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like a friend of mine's mom used to make. She used to just make a pound cake, and as soon as it came out of the oven, she would just stand pouring the rum over the top of it until it was soak in. Then she'd stop, and if it didn't pool up, she'd keep pouring until it would pool up.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah, that was rum cake.
Stop trying to mask it with the coffee. Just pour the whole damn shot over it, and don't even worry about the flavor afterwards.
Yeah.
So last week we interviewed Chef Lester, and he gave us some Les and Norma's ready to drink cocktails from his remnants of his. I don't know if we can see that one. I was wrong punch. Of his food truck turned brick and mortar Caribbean restaurant of, I don't know, how long ago, Chuck?
Oh, I want to say, was it, he closed the brick and mortar, because he even said, I started hanging out with him at the restaurant in 2018. And I think it just closed like 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
But that was still a spot that is still attached to my heart, because it was on the way home, so I could stop there and tip a couple. So when he decided to bottle his stuff, I was like, well, dang. So he has some pretty decent cocktails.
Yeah. Ready to drink, 750s in a wine bottle, and made with authentic Trinidad recipes. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Where's this at?
It's here in Detroit. He makes it, because I still have to do the research on his distillery, because I hadn't heard of it until he told me about it. So I have to check into that, to where they're doing rum, vodka. They are about to do gin. I think he says they're doing a bourbon. So,
and then where's the restaurant?
Well, the restaurant was on East Jefferson. It now has a new owner. The new restaurant there is called Antidote. His restaurant was called Norma G's. His entire menu was Caribbean, primarily Trinidadian, where you had the doubles, you had oxtail sliders, jerk chicken, whole oxtails with his rice and peas, and that cabbage was amazing.
So it's too late for me to go eat there now?
Well, see, he still caters. You can't eat at the restaurant, but he still caters.
Eat the restaurant. And he also has diversified and makes CPG. So he's got like some sauces out in the market. He's got these ready to drink cocktails in market. I think the partners in Detroit, did he say that they make Drexel as well?
I think he did.
So when you do this tasting that you were talking about at the front end of this, make sure there was food.
Well, no. In fact, during the interview, because Chef doesn't live that far from me, so when I told him I was missing the oxtail, he was like, "Oh, Chuck, you're so close. Don't worry about it. Just let me know." So Brian, next time you're coming down to Detroit, give me about a week, maybe 2 weeks lead time, so I can talk to Chef, and he'll probably whip us up some oxtail, some rice and peas, and some cabbage.
Yes, please.
Just a lovely person, man. This dude is so cool.
Yeah.
Why would you like a small dinner at your house, Chuck?
Hey, works for me. I just got to get the man cave cleaned up because the wife basically said, we're not having anybody else over to the house until you get that straightened up. So that's what when I'm spring cleaning, it'll be getting this place straight. So
how about late May?
What's that, Brian?
Late May.
Late May?
I'll be down late May.
We can work it out. Just give me a firm date and I'll make it happen. I'll contact Chef and.
Boy, that would be fantastic.
No, man, once you taste this stuff, you'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because his restaurant was like just basically walking into his living room and chilling at the bar, sipping on drinks, and then, then they bring you a plate of food.
And that was part of the beauty of the conversation is that it was this familial atmosphere, and it was more experiential than it was focused on the food. So yeah. I can only imagine in his living room it's the same damn way.
Yeah. Well, I think it's his daughter. I don't know if she's following us on Two Guys Tasting, but ever since I started posting the videos from last week, she keeps popping up liking her dad's posts. So I remember her because one day he wasn't there, but she was the bartender, and you could tell his skill as a bartender has passed on to the daughter because she wasn't missing a beat. So Brian, what do you see the future of winemaking in the Traverse City area, specifically the Old Mission Peninsula?
Well, the Old Mission Peninsula has a whole range of dynamics going on. I think in terms of the vineyard side and the winemaking side, we are in a continued era of trying to attract young talent and get people interested in being here on a full-time basis to make wine. Grapes are heavy, liquids heavy, takes young backs, it takes young minds, not just in the winemaking, but in the marketing. And as we're looking at new dynamics of this market that's shifting, which it always does, what is the next generation looking for? We need inspiration, not just from everything that's been done and the history and all that kind of stuff. We need inspiration for what we can do going forward. And so I think what we're going to see is a need for a lot of capacity for small winemakers, for innovators, both in restaurants and wine shops and distribution, to be kind of helping to shape the future of it. We have the grapes, we have the land. The land's not going to change very much. The grapes are planted. Obviously, we can plant new varieties and all, but I think it's going to take the energy of fresh eyes and fresh perspectives to kind of help continue to tell our story.
Cool. I think that's a good way to end this particular episode. But Brian, I'd like to ask you back or invite you, because our goal is to start doing some live feeds at some locations, and maybe May may be a good time when you're in town to potentially set up a live feed somewhere and do a little something.
Set up with the oxtail sounds fantastic. I'm in. Okay. I'll bring a bunch of wine. That'd be a blast.
Bet.
Yeah.
I think actually some of your Blaufränkisch will probably kick ass with those oxtails.
I know very little about that region's food, and I need to learn.
Yeah. Well, it's just picture a very tender, slow braised beef.
Done.
And that's basically what your oxtail is. although you're going to have a little Scotch bonnet in it, so it's going to have a little heat. Was it a little rosemary, a little thyme? Yeah.
Yeah, this sounds fantastic. I'm in.
Second that.
Got you covered.
All right. It's a date.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you very much.
Thanks for coming out, Brian.
Oh, my pleasure. For great
Brian, what's the name of your wine brand?
Left Foot Charley.
Left Foot Charley. Is this so locally in the Detroit area?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And
I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, please do. A couple times coming this spring, and then probably in the late summer as well.
Okay.
Left Foot Charley.
Good events. Sounds like we're gonna have oxtail at Shucks.
Most definitely.
That'll be great. You guys rock. Thank you.
All right. Take care, man. Nice to see you again.
Have a good one.